Kagurabachi chapter 125 starts with a sorcery bureau scientist explaining the Datanseki lore. He states that the Mikaboshi's life force isn't enough to adapt to the power of Datanseki, and recalls how Aryu said that Mikaboshi prayed to Datanseki. In all of the texts that describe the prayer, the words sacrifice and devouring the flesh appear. But what's interesting is that these texts most likely are written by the Soga clan, which could be another try of theirs to rewrite history. It reminds me of a phrase, history is written by the victors. The scientist says that Datanseki was something humans were never meant to touch, a forbidden fruit. Next, we move to Kunishige and Subaru, who are trying to smelt Datanseki using Tatara, smelting technique that produces Tamahagane, a high-quality steel with very few impurities. It's the material used to make katanas. Tamahagane is achieved by melting carbon unevenly throughout the material. The only way to produce Tamahagane was to feed iron sand and charcoal into a clay furnace while irradiating it with a bellows for 3 days and nights. That was the only smelting technology. I know you didn't understand any of this. Neither did I. In simple words, iron sand is put into a clay top furnace, and then it's mixed with charcoal to harden the steel. And this method actually exists in real life. 7 hours after beginning the process, we see a familiar face. Joji arrives to stop Kunishige and Subaru. He says he knew Subaru was involved in the Datanseki disappearance. He explains that he is only the first visitor, that they are about to see more from HQ and that they won't be as patient as he is. And the panel actually shows us Izaru and current Masumi from this timeline. As of right now, the Datanseki is already pulverized. Tatara is only the first step in forging. To use iron ore, you have to crush it into little particles first. In the next panel, we just see a dozen Subarus working. There are about 8 of them. At Sushi Subaru, there's a legend that the master chef makes sushi, takes orders, washes dishes and does deliveries all at the same time. And we get a Subaru sorcery reveal, which is really unexpected. Master Urita's sorcery is multiplication. Now I wonder if Kunishige will have to forge the rest of the blades himself, because if Subaru gets contracted to a blade, all those Subarus will be gone. Next, Joji reveals to us that Princess Chiaki had a prophecy about the enchanted blade plan, which may be one of the reasons it got rejected by Kamunabi, but that's only my guess. Chiaki's prophecy was about a colossal accident, and we see a huge explosion and the city getting wiped out. What if the explosion reaches the city? And Kunishige assures Joji that the explosion won't reach it. Kunishige plans to adapt his approach by smelting the Datanseki alongside the large amounts of magnetite in the furnace. Pebbled magnetite is an iron ore that's way easier to smelt than iron sand. Now the Datanseki is reduced to grains which don't make contact with each other, so the effect of each individual particle is weakened. The explosion radius wouldn't exceed 300 meters. The only people to die would be Subaru and Kunishige. And then Master Urita drops us lore about Kunishige Rokuhira's eyes. They're covered by a special membrane. Normal swordsmiths lose their eyesight early because of constantly seeing hot flames. Kunishige's eyes instead adapt. Each time they get burned by heat, his eyes heal. It works the same way that muscles grow stronger after damaging muscle fibers. The more he looks at the fire, the better his eyes get. It's stated that Kunishige can actually see the particles themselves. So that means that Kunishige teaching Chihiro swordsmithing actually trained his eyes the same way it did for Kunishige. At around 1000 degrees Celsius, the Datanseki explodes. Kunishige's plan is to prevent it by varying the rate at which the temperature is raised. By raising the temperature while suppressing the activity of the particles, it should be possible to reach the melting point without triggering an explosion. Joji is still not convinced by this reasoning. Neither is Urita. He's convinced by Rokuhira's talent. Tatara practice is older than thermometers themselves. Swordsmiths back then weren't working with theories and formulas, but with pure experience, feel, and their senses. It's a man versus materials. The temperature in the furnace is already over 1200 degrees Celsius, without a single explosion. Next we see an absolutely stunning, amazing, beautiful illustration of the forge as we see the steel being purified. So the last page is just Kunishige and 5 Subarus preparing for the next step. As Kunishige says, these 7 hours of work were just the beginning. Now we tame the gods. Big chapter, big art, big story. 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching. So many Subarus. Explosion. Yeah. He should look at the fire all day and all night long. Kunishige, don't stop looking at fire. Never stop looking at fire. You should look at fire all day, all night, all your fucking life. Man versus materials. It goes so fucking hard. Oh. That the steel is purifying. So you like purifying that magnetic bullshit and you doing like getting the raw Datanseki, yeah? Big chapter, big chapter, the best chapter ever. Why is there so many Subaru Uritas? Why?